Progress isn't always about getting faster. Better isn't always about more or bigger. Now, before we get into this chat, I want you to know one thing. You have your own unique style, and I want you to focus on that more than anything. Focus on developing and nurturing that style, that organic, that natural style that you have within. You see, your personality, your character, who you are, all these things are going to feed right into your guitar playing and your music, your writing, and to be honest, really everything that you do in life. And what we're talking about today, and we're going to talk about making true progress, but what we're talking about really, it carries over into many aspects of life. But I want you to know that you have your own unique style. Focus on that. I also want you to know this, you are enough. When I first started playing guitar back in 1989, I know many decades ago, I made a lot of progress in that first year. And of course, a big part of that progress was indeed getting faster. In fact, soon after that, I became known as the shred guitar player around town. This is in the area of Pensacola, Florida. I remember joining my first band, a band called Genesia. I believe that's a new beginning in Hebrew or Greek, one of those languages. But we're kind of like this Christian alternative band with a shred guitar player involved. Now, this was back in about the mid-90s when grunge and the Seattle sound, all that stuff kind of like overshadowed guitar solos and everything that sounded 80s, if you will. But I integrated my shred guitar playing in with that band. When it came time for my guitar solo, it was like, okay, I need to fit in as many notes as I possibly can. Well, one day someone, and I wish I could remember who this someone was, they came up to me and said, look, I know you can play fast, you've got that down, but what else can you do? After that though, I started hearing guitar solos and music in general a little differently. I would hear other guitarists, whether it be someone famous or someone just local that I saw playing live. Maybe they didn't play fast or play fast all the time, but there was something about their solos that really stood out and just captivated me as I started to hear solos differently than just, well, let me fit in as many notes as possible within that 20 to 30 seconds that I have, right? I started to hear these beautiful melodies, and I was actually taken back to what really turned me on to playing lead guitar in the beginning. So I'll tell you this short story. When I first started playing, I started out on an acoustic, and many of you know the story already. I actually cover this in my book, Heavy Metal and Weights. Quick plug, that book is on Amazon, so definitely check that out if you haven't already. But in any case, so I remember my dad teamed up with an old high school friend of his. He was a local musician. His name was Ronnie Miller. I think he still plays live throughout Pensacola. He is a professional musician, has been doing this all his life. But he went to his friend to help pick out my first electric guitar. I'd already been playing acoustic for a little bit. I got the chords down and was starting to play. My folks, they knew I was serious about this, and they're probably like, finally, something he's actually good at, because I kind of sucked at everything else, including school. In any case, so Ronnie helped me pick out this guitar. It was this bright red Gremlin. Yeah, that's me, the skinny kid with a bright red guitar in the picture. That was another church band we had called Revelation. We were trying to beat something. Hey, all those guys actually turned out to be really good. In any case, though, Ronnie took me back to his house and showed me his music gear and all that good stuff after coming home from the music store. And he's like, man, I want you to hear this. He popped in this album. I hear this ambient sound, this kind of ambient starting out. Hear some voices in the background, right? This is track 1, by the way, and some of you already know what this is. Then I hear the keys come in. Dun, 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 dun. And then all of a sudden you hear this just driving, steady, thumping bass line with the drums kicking in. And then here comes Satriani, Flying in a Blue Dream. Guys, I was mesmerized by this. I was like, whoa, what is this? And the funny thing is the notes that captivated me, they weren't necessarily fast notes. Yeah, he does some fancy stuff in there, right? And that's what I love about Satriani. He can do all the stuff that you see everybody else doing for the most part, but that's not his forte. That's not the message that he's portraying to you with his guitar. He learned to replace the vocal melody with his guitar. So I took myself back to this moment, and I do this often. I'm doing it right now with you. We're talking about it, right? But I take myself back to this moment at times when I feel like that, okay, well, I can't seem to pull this off fast enough, or maybe this part should be faster, maybe the solo needs more speed licks in it or whatever. I have to take myself back to that moment and think about what captivated me, what really pulled me in. And it wasn't necessarily the fast stuff, although, and please don't take this the wrong way, guys, I am not saying you shouldn't play fast. I still love to shred. You guys know that. You hear that all the time from me. But I'm taken back to the melodic parts of the song that really just inspire me. It's like, whoa, man, this is just blowing me away right now. I want to circle back around to you. When you pick up your guitar, what are you wanting that other side to sound like? Now, you may be saying, well, this person plays that, they have these techniques down and I want to play like that, or this person over here sounds a certain way and I want to sound like that. And those things are okay for the most part, but I want you to search deep within and ask yourself, what is my style? What is your style? What is your signature style and sound that you are developing? And this is what I encourage you to work on more than anything. Sure, get the basics down, okay? We can't neglect the basics, especially if you're just starting out. You know, learn your basic chords, learn the major and minor scale at least. I think that's important. You know, I talked about that in my last video where we broke down the key of A minor, and I have another video on E minor. More of those to come, by the way. I know you guys seem to enjoy those, so thank you for watching those, by the way. I'm glad those videos help. But I want you to think about what you want to truly sound like, beyond what someone else sounds like or beyond someone else's style, because you have your own unique style. You have your own character, your own personality, and all these things make up everything that you do, not just playing guitar, but from the type of person you are in a friendship, in a relationship, maybe it's a marriage, at your job, in a business maybe you're pursuing, and just hanging out with your buddies, you know, maybe kicking back a few brews. You have your own personality that makes this amazing person that you are. So I want you to know that, and I want you to pour all of that into everything that you do and know that you're enough. You don't have to talk like this person. You don't have to sound like that person or play like that person or have the same personality quirks this person over here has, right? You've got your own. So I want you to lean on that, and not only lean on who you are right now, but also the development of who you are. I want you to continuously develop your own character and develop your own style. And that's the most beautiful thing about playing music, and that's why you're here right now. We play music, we write music, and it's something that you can't really explain to somebody who doesn't do it, right? But you've got this thing inside you. It's like, I've got to sit down and play guitar. I've got to do this. I've got to get this out somehow. Now, practical. As you develop your own style, you may notice that you tend to focus on certain techniques more than others. One of the reasons I think that happens is we have these natural abilities or natural things, whatever you want to call them. There's probably a fancy word for it that I can't pronounce, but we have this thing inside of us that tends to gravitate towards certain techniques, even on guitar. And this is the same throughout life. You seem to pick those things up and run with them more so than maybe something else. Now, me, for example, when I first started playing fast solos, again, this is like a year after I started playing, I jumped right into playing guitar solos. I loved it. My thing was speed picking, alternate picking. And also I did a little finger tapping, and I love to improv. I don't really care to write a solo and play that same exact solo over and over again. I kind of get bored with that. I like to improv. So I learned how to do that, and that's my forte. Now, where are my weaknesses? Well, I never bothered so much with sweep picking, right? Playing the sweep arpeggios. I remember trying to practice those when I was younger, and I'm like, man, this thing just seems so difficult, so I sort of put it off to the side. I didn't really start practicing that technique, the sweep picking, until way, way later. And you'll hear some sweep arpeggios in my albums, throughout the albums there, but you're not going to hear a whole lot. It's just something I never really focused on. Now, this doesn't mean I don't practice playing that technique. I do practice it. I probably practice it now more than ever, but it's still not my greatest strength, okay? Some guitar players gravitate towards that, and I think that's great. I think it's amazing. I think it's awesome. I'll be the last person to tell you just because that's not my strength that, well, people shouldn't focus so much on it. I don't want to be one of those people that says, well, all you can do is play fast, like the person told me. But I'm glad that person told me that years ago, because again, it kind of opened my eyes up to really developing my own style. What is my style, and what does that entail, and how do I nurture that and continue to build that and develop that? And I want you to think the same way about your own style. How do you move forward with that and continue to build that? Now, sweep picking, Do I play it? Do I practice it? Yeah, I throw it in. I've got it down to where I can throw these little arpeggios in when I feel like the solo needs it, in my case. Or it's not really about needing it, when I feel like that's what I want to portray in that part of the solo. And I'll bring it back. But I tend to continue to gravitate towards my natural strengths, if that makes sense. Now, I know some might argue, well, you don't have natural strengths, it's all in what you practice. And I would agree with that to a certain extent. But I kind of disagree with it as well. It's like me growing up, you know, and my dad wanted me to play sports. And I had wonderful parents. I have wonderful parents. They're still alive. I have wonderful parents, by the way. They really helped me get into music. Even though my parents weren't really into heavy metal, because it's kind of frowned upon, especially back then, they still nurtured that talent and helped me with that. So, Mom, Dad, thank you so much. But I knew my dad really wanted me to play sports. You know, I think he thought that, well, that's just what boys do, and it would keep you out of trouble type of thing. But guys, I just was not good at it. I mean, I tried to play football. I was on the mini mites, or mites they called us back then. And, you know, everybody else is, you know, playing and into the game. And me, I'm out there in the field just daydreaming, probably like daydreaming about what cartoons I'm going to watch on Saturday morning. And I remember this one dude, I'm out there daydreaming, and the play is going on. We're at practice, you know, and this one dude just clocks me, and I go flying through the air. And I couldn't be mad at the guy, and he didn't do it on purpose. He wasn't being a jerk. He didn't do it on purpose. He was doing his job, right? Hey, there's a guy standing there. I need to knock him out of the way so we can move forward with the game here. Well, yeah. In any case, I just wasn't good at it. I didn't have the natural talent for it. And I think that no matter how hard I would have worked on that, I don't think I still would have had the natural talent to be above the other people that were working just as hard, well, if not harder, and then had the natural talent on top of that. I hope that makes sense. And again, I don't want it to be like a doom and gloom. It's like, well, you're just not cut out to be good at that. That's not really what I'm saying. I'm just saying, recognize where your natural abilities are. Recognize where your natural strengths are, even when it comes to techniques on guitar. If you look at guitar players like Malmsteen, for example, well, he mastered sweep arpeggios. I mean, he is the god of sweep picking, and that is part of his signature style. Yeah, he can do other stuff too, right? We look at someone like Joe Satriani. Well, he's the master, in my opinion, of melodies. He replaced the vocals. You're not missing the vocals in his instrumentals. There's just some beautiful melodies, and he knows when to put certain techniques in there, fancy little things here and there, and he'll pull it right back out. Look at guitar players like Steve Vai, for example. He's kind of known for just having this abstract style of playing, and that's his signature style. Eric Johnson, the technique he's probably known for is string skipping. And of course, he does some arpeggios and some speed picking as well, but he's got this really cool string skipping technique that he throws in a lot of his solos, and that kind of makes up his style. And you could go down the list of guitar players and pull out different techniques that they're stronger over here, maybe not so much over here, but it doesn't matter because they have their own signature style. Look at Slash. I'll name one more. Slash. He's not necessarily a fast player. I've never seen or heard him just shred up and down the neck endlessly, but you know what? You know it's Slash within those first 2 or 3 notes. He's just got that signature style. And that's why I encourage you to focus on developing your own style, whatever that may be, because at the end of the day, it's yours. It's not someone else's. I want you to sound like you. Now, what am I focused on besides this cold cup of coffee now? We'll have to fix that later. What am I focused on upcoming? Well, to go back to the beginning, you know, I mentioned that better is not always more. It's not always bigger, right? Progress is not always faster. I don't really aim to be any faster as a guitar player than what I am right now. I just don't care to do that. What I'm working on now, let me back up for a second. It doesn't mean that I'm not ever going to play fast again. Oh, I'm going to shred. I love to shred, guys. You know that. I love it. I eat it up. Yum, 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 right? But I am going to focus more on melodies, okay? With the shred, we're not ditching shred. Again, it's staying because we love it. But I want to focus more on coming up with melodies that are going to captivate, not necessarily the listener, but me. Like, I want to listen to something, and just like you want to be able to play something and go back and listen to it. It's like, man, that was cool. That sounded awesome. that's stuck in my head now. I wrote that melody and it is stuck in my head. And then you start talking to other people like, yeah, that melody, man, that is stuck there. So I want to focus more on that. Now, in my personal life, outside of music, weight training. So here I am squatting 315. I'm 49 years old, so I'm happy to be squatting with really good form this amount of weight. Now, back in my younger days, of course, it was all about, well, I gotta squat more weight, bro. I always wanted to get to the 500 mark on squats. I never did. I never got that far. I think I went a few pounds past the 400 mark, and I don't know if I can say that was with good form. I probably got a rep or two, a really clean rep or two with over 400 pounds, 425, something like that. That was many years ago. But now at this point in my life, the goal is not more. The goal is not to squat more weight. I still want to go relatively heavy. I'm not one of those like, well, you get old, you gotta lift light weight. That's another conversation for another day, but I don't necessarily buy into that. But it does mean, for me at least, okay, as long as I'm keeping my connective, this is important by the way, as long as I'm keeping my connective tissue healthy, then I can continue to squat a moderately heavy weight. So again, it's not about more anymore. It's more so about just really sustainability and longevity. And for those of you who might be a little older, and I don't mean to turn this into a weight training conversation, but there may be some folks older watching. If that's you, and if you're tempted to say, well, you're gonna have these aches and pains, look, I'm in the gym with a few folks that are over 70 years old. And I won't say they don't have their aches and pains over the years. Sure, they've had those, but they're still in their training every day. So guys, I do encourage you to strength train. You don't have to be a bodybuilder or a power lifter or anything like that. But if you guys want to hear more about that, if you want me to share some tidbits about that, I don't want to turn this into a weight training channel. That's not what we're going to do. But just let me know in the comments. I'm happy to continue sharing stuff because I think there are a lot of parallels with guitar playing, being a musician, especially being into metal, and weight training, which is another form of metal, right? One last thing I'll share with you in regards to progress not being faster and better, not necessarily being more, is my wife and I, we are clearing things out. We are getting rid of a lot of stuff. I kind of like the 6-month rule. Like, hey babe, we haven't used this in 6 months. Can we throw it out or give it away or something? Yeah, it's gone. So again, we are going to make a better life. We already have a great life. My wife and I love her dearly. She is my heart and soul. So that part's good. However, our lives are going to get even better. We're going to have even better quality because we're going to get rid of things that we don't need. So our better for us is actually going to be less. And guys, I don't put that on you. I don't put that on anybody else. That I'm just sharing that. That's what we're doing. It doesn't mean you should or shouldn't do it. Everybody has to live their own life the best possible. Okay, you have to live your own life according to how you want to live, what makes you happy. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Sometimes I just like to sit down and chat with you like we're in the studio together, just having a cup of coffee or maybe a brew. It's a little early at the time I'm filming this for a brew, but you know what I mean. We're just sitting down, just talking about life and music and guitar and things we love. And again, I just want to encourage you that, focus on your own style. Don't necessarily chase somebody else's gift or dream or style or their character or personality. You have your own style and you are enough. You are good enough. You are great enough. So I want you to know that. One last thing before we go, I just launched a brand new guitar academy. It is called Jason Starr's Guitar Academy. This is a platform where I just give you everything. My monthly lessons, the tabs and backing tracks to my monthly YouTube lessons. You guys will get that continuously. I've actually got all of 2024 out there. So if you're a member, you've got access to all that. And you get access to not only all my courses. I've got Metal Guitar Apprentice for beginners, Metal Riff Master, the Ultimate Metal Rhythm Guitar course. Those courses are out there now, but also all future courses as well. So those are all out there. The lead course, I know I've been talking about this for a while, but now that I've got my platform set up, I am laser focused on getting that to you by the end of this year, 2024. That's going to be on melodic soloing. We talked about that a lot today, so that will be out and you'll have immediate access to that. If you want to learn more about the Guitar Academy that I just started, guys, click below. There's a link in the description below. What I will say real quick, if you have purchased one of my old courses from me, those are available on the new platform. So please reach out to me first if you have not gotten access to those courses, okay? So guys, thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed the chat. As always, keep it metal and keep playing music.